In a time where the term, diva, is often met with side eyes and disclaimers, one woman stands tall and says it with pride. Nikki Bella. A name that once electrified arenas with attitude, confidence, and championship gold. A woman unafraid to own every chapter of her journey, even the ones some wish would be forgotten. On the "What Do You Wanna Talk About" podcast, Nikki didn't hold back. She spoke with heart, with truth, with a voice that refused to be drowned out by revisionist history. Because for her, being a WWE diva wasn't a stain. It was a statement. Yes, the WWE of today has changed. It celebrates athletes. It spotlights in-ring performance. It has built a division where women main event WrestleMania and break boundaries once considered unreachable. But that evolution didn't begin in a vacuum. It started somewhere. And Nikki Bella was part of that beginning. She doesn't deny the differences. She acknowledges them head-on. Today's focus, she says, is less about looking sexy and more about showcasing skill. And that's progress. That's power. That's the future. But she also reminds us of something vital. Without the past, there is no future. The Divas Era, often labeled as the dark days of women's wrestling, was a complex time. It was glossy, branded, marketed, but it also featured women who fought, not just in the ring, but behind the scenes, for more, for better, for respect. And Nikki was one of them. She didn't just play a part. She led from the front. She took every opportunity given and turned it into something bigger than the script. She built a brand, a legacy, a movement, whether people want to admit it or not. She knows the criticism. She's heard the voices, the online comments, the documentaries that skip over her chapter. But Nikki Bella doesn't flinch. She embraces it all. Because she knows that even today's icons, those wrestling under a different banner, with different rules, grew up watching her. Some of WWE's top female stars have said it plainly. They were inspired by the Bellas. By what they represented. By how they commanded attention, drew millions of eyes to the product, and redefined what it meant to be a woman in the wrestling spotlight. They may not have always been given 20-minute matches or Ironman opportunities. But they had presence, star power, and a will to change the game. And now, the game has changed. Dramatically. Positively. The women's revolution happened. Women main evented pay-per-views. WrestleMania. They broke through ceilings many thought were made of steel. But Nikki Bella, she doesn't feel erased by that progress. She feels part of it. Because you can't build a skyscraper without a foundation. And that foundation was laid, at least in part, by the Divas Era, controversial, complicated, but crucial. She's not asking to go back in time. She's not calling for a return to butterfly belts or fashion show segments. She's celebrating growth, evolution, and she's simply asking that her era not be buried under it. Because the Divas were more than a title. They were pioneers in their own way. They took what they were given and made it work. And in doing so, they inspired a new generation to demand more. The Bella twins, with their reality shows, business ventures, and relentless work ethic, turned wrestling fame into global influence. They weren't just characters. They were entrepreneurs, influencers, role models to millions. Nikki Bella still walks with that pride. Still carries that crown. Because for her, the term, diva, isn't an insult. It's a badge. One she wears boldly, even if others are afraid to. And that takes courage. In today's era, when history is constantly being rewritten, Nikki is here to remind us that every step mattered. Even the ones taken in stilettos. So let the critics talk. Let the narratives shift. Nikki Bella remains unbothered. Because whether you call her a diva, a trailblazer, a Hall of Famer, or simply Nikki, one thing remains clear. She was part of the revolution, long before the hashtag. And she's not done talking. Not done inspiring. Not done reminding the world that sometimes, pride doesn't come from perfection, it comes from perseverance. So yes, Nikki Bella is proud to be known as a diva. And that pride, that defiance, that resilience, that's exactly what made her unforgettable.